special episode of Kapow dedicated to gifted youngsters and evil mutants alike. I'm Sonya.
And I'm Al, and we're here in King's Comics, having come directly from seeing Days of Future Past. So we are very jazzed to start talking all about it.
Yes, it has been an exciting day, so much so that I sent my mind back through time from next week so I could watch the movie again.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, does anything important happen in the future that you should tell me about? What?
Nah. Oh, it rains on Saturday, so don't do washing.
Great, well I guess I don't need to look at my weather app. Could you tell me anything useful? I mean, does the show go well?
Oh, yeah, no, really well. Obviously, we have a chat with Ray about the movie, but Ray also has some collectables for us to look at. Meanwhile, we both have a chat about our favourite X-Men, and then we take a look at where X-Men movies are headed next.
Well, that all sounds good. I mean, for real though, there's got to be something you can tell me about the future, anything.
Ah, today's the day you get hit by a car.
Why would you not lead with that? What?
No, I'm just messing with you. Maybe.
You know what? This is why I hate it when you travel through time. You're always a jerk about it.
As each new X-Men film comes out, we get to see at least 5 new mutants getting their big screen debut, which kind of makes sense because there are a lot of mutants out there to introduce.
There really are, and sometimes that's felt like a drawback to me, like it waters down the story having so many of them in there. That said, it is always pretty cool seeing your favourite X-person pop up on screen for the first time.
X-person.
I'm being politically correct today.
Oh, okay, great. Well, speaking of favourite X-persons, we thought we would have a chat about our favourite ones.
Yeah, so come on, hit me, your favourite.
Alright, well, I'm going to throw out a pretty obvious one straight away. No one will be surprised that my first favourite is Jean Grey. Whether you call her Marvel Girl, Phoenix, Dark Phoenix, or even White Phoenix of the Crown, Jean is just plain awesome, as practically every redhead is. One of the founding members of the X-Men, she's always been one of the heavy hitters, and with her unparalleled psychic abilities, she just might be the most powerful X-person of them all.
Well, yeah, you have to be powerful if you're going to flash fry an entire planet.
Everybody has an off day once in a while.
Murdering 5 billion people constitutes an off day for you. That is frankly terrifying.
But it's just what makes Jean such a fascinating character. She's been inhabited by a force that can destroy planets, but she overcomes it. She sacrifices her own life to save the universe, and she looks damn good doing it. That is a chick you want to party with.
Fair enough. Okay, so that's your first pick.
Yep.
Who's your second? I'm going to guess Mystique.
Ah, well, see, I did consider Mystique. I mean, she's got an awesome power, she's very funky, she's got red hair.
Well, technically, if you think about it, she has any colour hair she likes.
Well, yeah, no, that's true. But I decided to go with another classic X-Men and another heavy hitter. Aurora Munro, better known as Storm. With the extremely useful ability to control the weather, Storm was part of the second intake of mutants into the X-Men, along with Nightcrawler, Colossus, Thunderbird, Wolverine, Banshee, and Sunfire.
She came in at kind of the start of a new era for the X-Men, didn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. And when Cyclops left the X-Men after the events of the Dark Phoenix saga, she took over as leader of the group. And that's when she really came into her own and developed the confidence to go along with her immense power. You've also got to respect anyone who can pull off that mohawk and leather vest look.
And she's made it look somehow elegant.
Absolutely.
Besides, you've got to say. Now, it's always a difficult transition into films for such well-loved characters, but we've had both of these in the films.
Yep.
We've had Halle Berry playing Storm and Famke Janssen playing Jean. How have you liked how they've done?
Hey, I've actually liked both of them. I think they've been cast really, really well. Janssen in particular, I think, has that scary toughness and human fragility that makes Jean such a fascinating character. Halle Berry, she's done a great job with Storm. She just hasn't had enough screen time, in my opinion. And unfortunately, she still doesn't get it. But the focus of the stories are always elsewhere. So one day, maybe one day, she'll get her moment to shine.
There'll be more than, well, or, you know, not just be there to ditch lightning.
Throw lightning, exactly.
It's a shame. Hopefully we'll see that maybe in the future.
Yes.
So those are your favourites.
Yep.
A couple of good picks,
Thank you.
I've got to admit. Guys, what are your favourite X-Men? Inquiring minds need to know.
Can't I be Colossus?
No, you are
Gambit
half
then.
the size and not even Russian. No, you can't be Gambit. You're Cyclops. We've
Fine.
decided this, all right?
Fine.
So let's just do the review.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone.
Hi guys.
What are you doing?
Well, if I open my eyes, I'm going to destroy them with my optic blasts.
All right. You can be Colossus, okay?
Okay, fine, good. Hey. Well, we're going to start off by taking a look at these original X-Men mini bust 5-pack by Bowen Collectables. Sculpted by the Kucherek brothers with original paintwork by Dan Cope, these limited edition 6-inch mini busts feature the cast of the original X-Men: Cyclops, Angel, Beast, Iceman, and last but not least, Jean Grey as Marvel Girl.
They look fantastic. I mean, straight away, you can see the unmistakable likeness to the characters.
Yeah, I love how the Kucherek brothers have captured the individual scale and the angle of their physiques as well. You instantly get an insight into the types of characters that they are. The expressions too are also significantly character specific. The only misleading figure is Iceman. If you look close, you can see that the detail is there, but it gets a bit lost in the structure of the sculpt. I would have preferred a clear version.
No, okay, but for purists, I mean, the 1963 comic features a very frosty Bobby Drake. I mean, so much so that his facial features were sometimes unrecognizable almost. So I think it's a nice balance.
Look, I didn't think of that, but look, regardless, the level of detail is very high. The eyes that are seen are on point. The wings of Angel and Marvel Girl's hair are wonderfully modelled. Even the different muscle shapes and the clothing stresses are spot on. So what did you think, Sonia?
I'm really impressed with these. The paintwork on this is pretty spot on as well.
Yeah.
For me, this is a must-have for any X-Men diehard fan, and they're not going to take up that much space, so it's definitely a buy from me.
Great, yeah, look, I love these figures, even more so after reviewing them. I'd suggest finding some kind of riser to elevate the second row and putting Iceman in the middle so he's not too prominent. Also, I like the simplicity of the bases, which kind of disappear from these bold figures. It's great. So yes, it's a buy from me as well. But now let's move on to something a little larger.
Yes, let's do that!
This is the Rogue premium format figure by Sideshow Collectables. Sculpted by Tony Cipriano from Polystone, this quarter-scale figure stands at around 19 inches high. Depicted in her classic green and yellow costume, she sports a real fabric jacket and belt. The exclusive edition actually came with a switch-out head, where Rogue is sporting her shorter hair that she has in of the 90s cartoons, which I was a big fan of. However, her face was a little bland, so I decided to go with the standard version.
And now this one is actually the companion piece to a premium format Gambit, right?
Yes, she is. But before you go throwing things at your TV screens in protest, I don't have the Gambit in my collection, and that's why he's not here and she is.
Well, that's fine, because we love Rogue.
We do, and I do too.
Yeah.
And she's an amazing sculpt. With her hip poised to one side, she glances skyward as though she's about to take flight. And I like her clenched fist as well, a small indication of just how strong her character is.
The head sculpt is a little off around her eyes. They don't seem as crisp and as focused as I would have liked.
Yeah, I agree, even though the actual shape of her face is quite nice. Up close though, her hair isn't as nice either. However, if you compare her face overall to that of the Wonder Woman premium format, which is on the way, I like this a lot more because it's just it's a lot more feminine, and that's something that I like in these characters.
Sure.
Yeah.
I love the colours on her though.
Me too.
Including the red on the base. It's a vibrant figure for the shelf, and the base itself is really simple and elegant.
Now, it's possible, if you're very careful, to remove the jacket and the belt, but I think she looks better with them on. The flow of the open coat gives more movement, and the belt breaks up that green and yellow wall. So what do you think overall, Sonia?
Well, it's really nice to see such a beautiful sculpt without too much going on.
Yeah.
There's a really lovely cheekiness to her face, and hey, you gotta love those boots. Come on now. She's definitely a buy from me. She's just beautiful.
Yeah, she's very striking, and I love the sculpt of her figure, of course. But, you know, I have to wonder at the length of her legs. They're extraordinarily long. I'd have also liked her one piece to be made of fabric, too. But those things aside, she's still a fantastic looking figure, so I'm going to give her a buy as well.
Cool.
Now, where were we? Okay, Al's Beast.
Yep, Al's Beast.
Yep.
I'm Jean Grey.
Hang on a second, you'd be Psylocke. We dye your hair purple. Doesn't matter anyway, because I'm going to be Colossus.
You're not
Yes.
Colossus. You're not Russian. We've discussed this already.
I am Russian.
You
It's Dostoevsky, Turgenev,
You know
Tolstoy,
of Russians, but you're not. Even with that accent, you are not Russian.
Gogol, Pushkin, Chekhov, Stewart.
No, that's Scottish.
Stewart.
Okay, we've taken a look at my favourite X-Men. How about you, sir?
Okay, well, look, as we've said, there's a lot of them out. There's a lot of variables to look at here. You've got a constantly changing roster. You've got new faces coming in all the time. You've got those splinter groups, your X-Force, X-Factor, Generation X. And then you've got to consider, the Rogues Gallery, all these bad guys. You've got the Hellfire Club. You've got the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants.
Yeah,
You've got to
really
consider
beginning to sound like you're stalling for time because you haven't picked your favourites.
Stalling for time. You know what? If I was stalling for time, you wouldn't know that I was stalling for time because it wouldn't seem like I was stalling.
Ow.
They wouldn't be.
Pick them.
Okay. So if I've got to pick one
Yes,
right now,
right now.
Okay, then I'm going to have to go with one of the old guard. Dr. Hank McCoy, also known as Beast. Along with Marvel Girl, Cyclops, Iceman, and Angel, Beast was in the first X-Men team, and although he possessed great strength and agility, his true power was always his intellect.
Very true. Hank has always been one of the more tragic figures in the X-Men. A genius trapped inside the body of a beast, forever at odds with his own nature.
Absolutely, even more so when you consider that the secondary mutation that causes his blue fur and animalistic couture was actually caused by his own research. Where other X-Men might change their costumes, Beast keeps changing his face, which causes him a lot of anguish, wondering whether he'll end up devolving into some kind of mindless monster.
But from his work on the Legacy virus to his time being an Avenger, Hank has had a pretty impressive career. Good choice for number one.
Thank you.
Who is number two?
Number two?
Yes.
Gotta be Remy LeBeau.
That's silver-tongued Cajun.
Yep. Gambit has been one of my favourites since I was a kid. He's just so smooth and so cool, and despite having a pretty straightforward mutant power, being able to project energy into things so they become explosives, he comes up with the coolest possible way of using it. Exploding playing cards. Now that's just awesome.
That's when he's not swinging around a bow staff and being the coolest guy to do so since, Donatello.
Yeah. So I guess if we boil it down, what we're saying is that he's cool.
Yeah.
But he's so much more than that. He's got this dark past. He's got more secrets than you could shake a kinetically charged Ace of Spades at. He's a flawed guy who's just struggling to find his redemption. And he's going to stumble more often than not, but that just makes him more engaging to me.
I cannot fault you on your choices. Both very cool men of X indeed. Now, both of them have also appeared in the movies, so how do their screen versions stand up, hey?
Well, we've had both Kelsey Grammer and Nicholas Hoult both playing Beast in different movies, and honestly, until Days of Future Past, I really preferred Grammer's performance. It was much more classic and, the Hank that I knew. But in Days of Future Past, Hoult has really lifted his game, and there's really a lot more going on, so I've been digging what he's been doing too.
And how about the guy who played Gambit in the first Wolverine film, Taylor Kitsch?
I wish I could tell you, but I can't really remember. I saw that film about 4 years ago. I saw it once. Nothing about it has stayed with me. So look, at the very least, he wasn't good enough to stick in my memory.
And now with the latest casting news with Channing Tatum taking over the role, which personally I think is a really bad idea.
Yeah, I'm not thrilled by it myself.
No.
Doesn't seem like good casting.
No. But
it could be worse. I mean, it could be, I don't know, Hayden Christensen or somebody. So be positive.
Yes, be positive indeed. So that's ours two X-persons of choice. What about you guys? Let us know. And what do you think? Who would make a good Gambit?
Gosling. Ryan Gosling.
So we're talking about the much anticipated X-Men Days of Future Past. Let's get right into it. Sonya, likes or dislikes?
I loved it.
Loved it?
I actually really loved it.
All right,
I
then,
thought it
moving
was
on.
great.
Okay, you got something else.
No, there was just so much happening, and there's like all the action scenes in there
Great,
were
moving on.
amazing.
Oh, no, again? I
No,
won't do it.
keep it to me.
Okay,
Keep it
sorry.
to me. I love my biggest thing with the action. I really loved Mystique's physicality. The fight choreography it is phenomenal. Just the way that they've managed to get the Mystique to move.
She had a very individual style, didn't she? The way
so
she
different to
moved
everybody
and
else because
twisted
she
around.
is
Yeah.
so different to the rest of them.
Absolutely.
I love that, and also Peter. His oh my goodness, it's just so wonderful to see a character like that really come to life.
Yeah.
That I don't think it has been touched on really like that before.
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, with Quicksilver, and I think it's going to be interesting. I think
We got
people
the
who are coming up with the
comparison now.
Avengers, they're going to be like, how are we going to top this? Because that sequence with
Amazing.
Pietro is amazing.
So amazing.
The hyperspeed sequence, apparently they 3,000 frames per second they were filming it at.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It is incredible. I think a lot of people are going to have a new favourite for those who haven't even heard of him before.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Those
Yeah.
who are new to the franchise.
Just based
anyway.
on that alone.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
that's the thing. And
awesome.
his whole character was such a joy to watch. He was funny and he was clever and he was fast.
He was endearing. He was clearly a bit of a jerk, but he was an endearing
jerk.
And I
Yeah.
like to see
Absolutely.
that. That's a
Yeah.
good way to take the character.
Totally. So I loved all of, I could sit there and watch that all over again quite
Oh, yeah.
happily.
Oh, yeah.
I also really loved the soundscape in this. The
Yeah.
music was so beautifully woven through this storyline. It rose up when you needed it to, but then it dropped back to let you kind of focus on what was happening. It was really, really well played, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't too overpowering at all.
Not
No.
at all,
Yeah.
no. I don't know. I really had so much fun watching this. That was something, like the humour in this. There were a few touches to some pop culture references that you'll either pick up or you won't, and it doesn't matter if you don't pick them up. But when you do, you kind of go, I see what you
And
did
it
there.
didn't lean too
Awesome.
heavily on any of those moments either.
No,
I thought. It
they were
didn't
just
go,
touched on and-
it's a joke.
Yep.
Yeah. Just it dropped it and moved on.
It was
Yeah.
really nice to actually just sit back and be entertained by this film, which
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's entertaining. It was
Yeah.
so fun.
Very much so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess. Okay, I'll throw in my one minor criticism just
Go
to
for
get
it.
that out of the way
Yep.
because you were quite glowing. I would have liked, because obviously it's told in two different time periods. It's
Yep.
the 1970s and the sort of the dark dystopian future. I would have liked a bit more time in the dark dystopian future.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know it might sound a little grim, but the fact is, it starts with this really nasty-looking people all walking along
Yeah.
with collars on, and everything's
Pretty
a bit
dark.
nasty and lightning. I didn't think there was enough of that.
Yeah.
I think we needed more time to show just how bad things have gotten.
Yeah.
So that there
Sure.
was more of an impetus to stop it from happening
Yeah,
by
that's
jumping
fair
back in
enough.
the past.
Yeah.
And also the fight stuff in the future was by far the coolest.
That
Yeah.
was so cool.
I'll just throw in here, I could watch a whole film about Blink.
Totally.
Whoever came up with all her superpower stuff has obviously played a lot of Portal because it's just sort of boom, boom, okay, falls out there, jumps up there. Fantastic.
It was so
the way
well
they
done,
brought
wasn't
that in was
Yeah, it's
so
great.
cool. I
Yeah.
loved it so much.
Yeah.
So that was great. I was a big fan of that.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful dynamic seeing the mutants up against a really tough or formidable opponent
Yeah.
and having to use each other because their own skills
Is
and
not
their own
enough.
power is just not enough. So
Yeah.
how can we, manipulate that and use you and everything else?
With
Yeah.
them coming together as a team,
That's
obviously
right.
that's something I've sometimes felt that, too many mutants spoil the broth in some of
Yeah.
these films.
Yeah.
But seeing them
I'll do
actually
my
work
thing now.
as a team together,
Exactly.
sort of,
Yeah.
you throw some of the power into me so I can redirect it into them. Stuff that we saw work so well in the Avengers, for example,
Yeah.
Exactly.
was in evidence here. And
Yeah.
that was a really good step in the right
Yeah.
direction for this franchise, I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
So I think I started making that a criticism.
It was a
I
criticism.
slid right into how cool it was.
Yeah.
So okay, one of the.
But you wanted more.
You want
I
more.
did. I
You
wanted
wanted
more
more of
of
that.
that stuff.
Yeah.
I also one of the other things I really liked about this was the villains.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
the villains were handled really well. I mean, you've got the Sentinels there as just sort of your embodiment of evil.
Yep.
But they don't really have a motivation.
No.
They're designed to do that.
And it's
Yeah.
great because they don't need it.
don't need it.
Exactly, that's just what they do. You've got Dinklage playing Trask, so
Yeah.
immediately you're kind of empathizing because it's Peter Dinklage.
Dinklage.
Yeah.
So you like him. But the fact is, his character.
And he's so unassuming as well.
Exactly, he's just there's nothing
This guy.
over the top or maniacal about the way he played this character.
Yeah, which is fantastic,
he was just
yeah.
he was a business guy. He was very calm.
Yeah.
the whole way through, he was so calm, and he was very reasonable.
Yeah, you start going, no, I totally understand
I can
that. Wait,
see.
oh!
I can see why you want to kill all mutants now.
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
and it's that sort of insidious reasonableness
Yeah.
that made him such an effective villain.
Yeah.
That's right.
And-
Allowing us to, empathize
Yeah.
with their cause.
Yeah,
exactly.
And hang on a second. Do I want to kill
Do
all
I wanna
mutants?
kill
or
I can
mutants or-
see why you're afraid
Yeah,
of them.
what
I
is
can
my
see
prejudice?
Uh-oh.
It's-
Yeah.
yeah.
And that was a genius way to take it. I
Yeah.
mean, again, that's done as well with Magneto.
Mm.
He's kind of an anti-hero, but also sort of a villain in this, as he generally is.
He always
He
turns.
walks that line.
His own path.
Yes.
Yeah, but again, you kind of realize why he's doing things. He's not, I'm just going to do some evil stuff. He goes, okay, well, this is what's going to happen. This is the simplest and most straightforward way to stop it. I'm not really going to worry about morality or ethics, but that's the simplest
what's
way to do
going.
it, so that's what I'll do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's just who he is as a character. And I think there was a real sense of being true to the characters in the comics in this. I think Singer did a great job of just keeping the focus on how the characters should be.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic as well. So
Yeah.
again, Yeah, I really enjoyed this. My only criticism was that I'd like some more of a particular section.
Yeah.
So that's not
That's
a
not a bad
bad
criticism.
thing.
Yeah.
Well,
So what do you think, Ray?
Right?
Well, yeah, on the character-wise, I mean, the credit goes to a lot of the acting. I thought performance-wise, it's top-notch. It's
solid.
up there. And, you know, if you're gonna, it's something better than watching Patrick Stewart versus Ian McKellen, it's watching, you know, Fassbender with McAvoy.
Yeah.
It's just a great combination. There's such a real chemistry there. Those two.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you know, sometimes you can get two actors talking at each other, but these are really talking to each other. And as you say, the character development, the script is very, very tight, I thought, you know? It's not mind-blowingly amazing, but it's tight, and it keeps it fresh, and they don't have too much exposition either. There's enough in there to just tweak for those who haven't perhaps seen First Class, but yeah, you get right into it, and we're away. Action sequences you guys have already touched on, I thought was excellent. It looked beautiful. You know?
It did, didn't it?
Yeah, it just
Even the really nasty-looking stuff was nasty in a beautiful way.
Yeah,
and
that's
I dig
right.
that. You know?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Do you think fans of the comics will be happy?
I think so. I really do. There were a few characters in there that, you know, are personal favourites of mine that I wish had a bit more screen time and were a bit more developed. But, you know, you kind of,
There's
if
so
you
many
do that,
of
there's
them.
so many of them, then you sacrifice other things. So,
Yeah.
but I think for what is in there, I reckon, you're going to be happy whether you're a comic book fan or not, I think.
Yeah.
I think there were some liberties taken, as there always need to
Always
be. I mean, this is based on an arc that was only 2 issues long in the comics,
Yeah.
so you got to build it out a bit. They did give Kitty Pryde a completely new power that she's never had before.
Never had before.
As really kind of a Deus Ex Machina kind of
Yeah.
way of making the story work. But I didn't really
didn't
mind
mind.
as much as I was immediately like, she can't do that. As much as my brain was doing that, I was like, who cares, dude? It's cool. Shut up.
Yeah.
So, you know, that really wasn't a big problem for me, and I don't think it's going to be a problem for comic fans either, unless they're the real diehards going, that's not how it works. I think they'll still dig it.
Yep.
So I think they will be satisfied.
And I think it's starting to tie in those who are fans of the cartoon series as well. I can
Yeah.
feel a lot more of the
bit of a-
familiar
Sentinels
characters.
tooling around as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just I think it's starting to move back into a direction that it's going to please a lot more
people.
a lot more fans.
Yeah.
Now we're also bringing in the older X-Men of the 2000s with your First Class. We had a blending of the characters. Do you
Yeah.
think that melding worked? you
Totally.
know? It did.
Yep.
Not
I'm
going
on
to take
board
any
with
time
that.
to consider.
Nah,
No?
I thought that was
Oh.
really, really well handled. It could have been a massive mashup that you just go,
Yeah.
nah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so,
Like an Expendables kind of thing.
but it was
Ooh,
so
rough.
well
Yeah.
handled. It was just, it came together in such a wonderful way that you just totally just accept it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I kind of have to agree. I mean, honestly, of the original 3 X-Men films, I liked the first one, and
Yep,
then
me
they
too.
slowly kind of slid for
Yeah,
me. So
I
by
agree.
Last Stand, it
Yeah.
was just a bit.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember much of what happened in that one.
Not gonna.
But, you know, I liked First Class. I had my issues with it, but I liked it.
Yep.
Yep.
I thought it started very well and had a lot of good things.
Yep.
And they do really bring it together to a point where it can move forward.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is
Which is
what they
so
had to be
important.
aiming at. They're going forward with this.
Yep.
They're marshalling all their characters and they're going for a big storyline next
story.
time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think they did manage to marry those two tales, those two
Yeah.
timelines.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that it was really lovely to see some of the mirroring of the former characters, like the older Magneto and the past, and seeing
Yeah.
The two Professor X's
two
up
Professor
against each
X's,
other.
and just that journey and some of the decisions that they've made for those characters was quite endearing to see
Yeah.
some of that journey come forward. But yeah, the characters work amazingly well
beautifully
together.
done.
So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
anyway, that's what we thought. So let us know what you thought. Oh, one more thing: make sure that you stay
Oh,
after the credits
Yes.
because there is an Easter egg.
yes,
There is-
something a bit of a nose to what's to come.
That's right. So we're interested in hearing what you guys think now.
Unlike a lot of the other comic book movies that we've seen lately, the latest X-Men film was directly inspired by the comic storyline of the same name. Days of Future Past, created by Chris Claremont, John Byrne, and Terry Austin.
The storyline in question only ran across 2 issues of Uncanny X-Men in 1981, but it has become one of the seminal X-Men stories and presents a premise that was custom-made for movie adaptation.
Well, so you say custom-made, but a fair few changes have been made from page to screen. Not least of all, the fact that in the comic, it's Kitty Pryde who, seeing the dystopian nightmare that the Sentinels have reduced her world to, jumps back in time with a warning for her teammates, whereas of course in the film, it's Wolverine who does the time travelling.
Well, among other reasons, it made sense to use an existing character for that role, since they were more or less introducing Kitty with this movie.
Well, yeah, because she featured briefly in X-Men 3, but this is really her debut.
Yeah, so as we go forward with the days of future past now behind us, we have to wonder what the future holds.
Okay, that may have been the most confusing sentence ever, but I get what you're driving at. What is next for the X-Men on the big screen?
Well, Bryan Singer has announced that the next X-Men movie will be called Apocalypse, and it will be released in 2016, so it's pretty obvious what comic arc they're going for next.
Yeah, it's going to be the Onslaught Saga. Phalanx Covenant? Avengers vs. X-Men.
I want you to know that I am ignoring you. Now I really want an Avengers vs. X-Men movie.
Right?
It's clear, however, the next movie will be an adaptation of the fan favourite crossover event, The Age of Apocalypse, which ran from 1995 to 1996. But what is Age of Apocalypse, I hear you ask?
Well, some of you might be asking that. Some of you might just be wondering whether you should make a sandwich, and if so, what ingredients you should put on that sandwich. But nevertheless, we're going to tell you about Age of Apocalypse anyway.
The concept for the crossover grew from a very simple question. What would the world be like if Charles Xavier had been killed before he got a chance to unite the X-Men? When Professor X's son David travels back in time to kill Magneto and then ends up killing his own father instead, we find the effects are near cataclysmic.
In a lot of ways, this crossover I felt was like the last 20 minutes of It's a Wonderful Life. You get to see the knock-on effects had this good person not been around to do all the good stuff they were supposed to do. The only difference is that in this case, the bad guy isn't Old Man Potter, it's Old Man Apocalypse.
Yes, old man indeed, since Apocalypse is the oldest mutant on the planet.
Yeah.
He's been kicking around since 3000 BC.
Yeah.
Although back then he was called Enzabach Nur. I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. With Professor X dead, Apocalypse decides the time is right to take over the world. His invasion leaves the world in chaos and casts all our favourite mutants in very different roles than we're used to.
The most striking of these is probably Magneto, who forms his own group of X-Men as a tribute to the man who died saving his life. But just as this villain becomes a hero, many heroes become villains in this new reality.
Well, with Scott and Alex Summers being raised by Mr. Sinister in this world, it's not that surprising to see them starting out on the wrong side. But seeing Hank McCoy as an evil genetic scientist and eventually becoming Dark Beast was honestly pretty upsetting.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think it was really a fantastic way to revitalise storylines, to introduce new characters, and to look at old characters in a new way. I mean, as you said, it's a fan favourite, and it's easy to see why. The stakes are raised sky high in this crossover, with the pressure forcing our beloved characters to act in ways we would never have anticipated. Friends become enemies, enemies become friends, Rogue and Magneto get married, and it builds to a conclusion that is by turns heartbreaking and extremely satisfying.
Its popularity has also led to a few returns to the Age of Apocalypse universe, Earth 295 if you're keeping count. So there's a massive amount of raw material for a movie adaptation to draw from. There were also a number of new characters that started out there like Nate Gray, aka X-Man. So I think this has the potential to be the biggest, most explosive X-Men film yet.
Absolutely. Look, I just wonder if they're going to end it the same way.
Yeah?
You know, with all the townsfolk chipping in money so Professor X can make his deposit to the bank examiner, and then they all sing Auld Lang Syne around the piano.
No, Al, you're back on It's a Wonderful Life.
Yes, I am. Yeah, I was wondering why in my head Apocalypse was in a wheelchair with a bowler hat.
Okay, so guys, let us know if there are characters or events in Age Apocalypse that you'd like to see on the movie screen, and if you're still wondering about that sandwich, I recommend ham and cheese. It's a total classic.
Maybe a little mustard.
So that's another special episode of Kapow in the bag, with another one coming up very soon.
Yeah, what's that one?
It's a Disney one, because we're going to go and see Maleficent. Weren't you more excited?
Well, because I'm worried about getting hit by a car like you told me I would.
Maybe it won't happen now. You know, the whole Schrodinger's cat thingy.
Ow.
You know, anyway, I need to send my mind back to the future so I can see Maleficent. Bye! What happened?
Oh, okay, the you from a week in the future came back and took over your body, I guess.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we need to go and see Days of Future Past. We'll be
Oh,
late.
no, we just came back from... I guess the you from the future saw it instead of you, so...
Great. So I have to wait a week to see this now.
I
Great.
guess so.
Fantastic.
Okay, look, calm down. No, you don't need to be... Don't need to be throwing things. Hit by a car. Unbelievable. Oh, you are unbelievable.